Coming up on KQED Newsroom, a progress report on the state's prison realignment experiment. UC President Janet Napolitano pledges to keep California's universities accessible and affordable.
We're going to fight for the tuition freeze, not just for this year, but I want to look at tuition policy overall.
Silicon Valley startups reach for the final frontier.
Time and time again, Silicon Valley's proven that it is the hotbed of entrepreneurship. It invents new industries.
The quest to explore space. Good evening and welcome to KQED Newsroom. I'm Thuy Vu. University of California Regents held their board meeting in San Francisco this week, where Janet Napolitano gave her first address as UC president. She pledged to freeze tuition for next year.
First, I'm announcing that from this day forward, we are going to start exploring in earnest a new UC tuition policy.
Tuition aside, Napolitano faces additional challenges. UC's latest budget proposal seeks almost $120 million more from the state. Governor Brown calls that request unrealistic. No stranger to tough challenges, the former Arizona governor was President Obama's Secretary of Homeland Security when she was chosen as the first woman to head the UC system. Her surprise selection set off protests by students and others critical of her enforcement of immigration policy during her tenure in Washington. She's been at the helm of UC for 6 weeks now and is focused on governing a system with 10 campuses, 5 medical centers, and nearly 250,000 students. Scott Shafer sat down earlier with Janet Napolitano.
President Napolitano, welcome.
Thank you.
This has been a tough few years for the University of California. Budget cuts, tuition increases. This week you had some rare good news and you're proposing freezing tuition for the coming year, but you need some help from Sacramento. What do you need? What do you want Sacramento to do to make that happen?
What we would like is for Sacramento, for the state to be a real partner with the university. We would like Sacramento to adopt the governor's budget, which requests or will request another 5% for the university, and to treat the university with respect to pension the same way it treats the state university and the community colleges.
And that would help you out to the tune of how much? Do you have any idea? A lot.
It would be quite helpful. We're going to fight for the tuition freeze, not just for this year, but I want to look at tuition policy overall and our cost structure overall so we can really look long-term, not only at amount, but the volatility of tuition.
The state's commitment to the budget of UC is about 10% right now. And it's been dropping, not just because of the economy and budget cuts, but there seems to be a shifting priority away from the university. That's my interpretation. Do you see it that way? How concerned are you?
Well, as I said earlier, I think that the state needs to be a partner, recognizing that, California thrives on the fact that it has all this intellectual and creative firepower here. It's such a big, diverse state. So much goes on here, but California will thrive even more if the university is thriving. There's a direct connection between those things.
Is there a concern, do you think? The university is a terrific institution. There are Nobel Prize winners. There are lots of books are written by professors who are on national and international TV. Is there a risk, do you think, of appearing almost too elite, that the legislature that represents a lot of low-income folks may not be able to relate to the needs of the university?
Well, let's back it up and say we are not elitist in that way. And in fact, almost 42% of our students get Pell Grants. They're from lower income families. Another 20% pay less than half of what the tuition is. So the doors of the university are wide open. I think we don't advertise it as well as we should.
And many of those kids and their families don't even know that they're eligible for those grants.
Oh, that's right. I've been to several high schools and asked for a show of hands how many knew that if their family made $80,000 a year or less, they would pay no tuition at the university. And hardly anyone knows that. So
they write off the university as a possibility.
And they do it early, 9th, 10th grade. So they're not taking the prerequisite classes because, remember, it's not elitist, but it is academically challenging. And so the students, to succeed at the university, have to be prepared coming out of high school.
You have not been met with open arms by everyone since you've come to California. There have been some protests, students in particular upset about the immigration policies, the deportations when you were Secretary of Homeland Security. Do they have a point? Do you understand where they're coming from?
Yeah, I think so. The plain fact of the matter is that I was as the Secretary of Homeland Security, the Chief Enforcement Officer for the nation's immigration law. We were moving and doing things we could administratively to make that law more fair. I created, for example, the deferred action program so that young people could register and be allowed to stay in country and to get work authorization. And I was very active with the administration in trying to get overall immigration reform. But in the end, I took that oath of office and I was charged with enforcing the law.
One of the first things you've done since you came to California is to set aside some $5 million to help undocumented students with all kinds of resources. Tell me, what's the importance of that, and how do you square that with the policy that you had to enforce as Secretary of Homeland Security?
Well, a couple of things. One is they already qualify for in-state tuition, so they are in the student body, but they can't get the federal grants and work study that their colleagues can get, that their peers can get. So we want to provide some support if we can for that. Many of them will be DACA eligible. And
what does that mean?
Deferred action. It's an immigration term basically meaning that you can be lawfully in the country and work in the country.
You've indicated that you want to remake the university in some ways. Looking ahead 5 years, what do you see? What would you like to see different than what is existing now at the University of California?
Well, I want to honor the traditions and the really great history of the university, but this is the 21st century, so we need to have tuition as low and predictable as possible. We need to smooth the transfer of community college students. We really need to be working on how the research done in our laboratories moves into the world and can really be addressed to some of the fundamental problems that we face as a society. So those are the things that we want to drive the university toward.
Before I let you go, I want to ask you a question. I know that as governor, you were a huge Arizona Diamondbacks fan.
Yes.
Now you're in California, and they're in the same division with the Padres and the Dodgers and the Giants. So I've brought with me a Giants cap.
Very good.
And I want to see, where are your loyalties? Are you going to be rooting for the Giants or the Dodgers or the Padres? What do you think?
Well, I'll tell you what. I'll root for the Giants, the Dodgers, and the Padres in every game they're playing except against the D-backs.
Okay, fair enough. I thought you might say no, but I'll root for the Oakland A's.
There you go.
All right, divided loyalties.
There you go.
All right, thank you so much for coming in. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
California has made sweeping changes to its criminal justice system, and the effects are still being measured. 2 years ago, under federal court order to reduce prison overcrowding, Governor Jerry Brown pushed a new policy called Realignment, transferring responsibility for low-level offenders to county corrections. And last year, voters approved changes to the state's strict three-strikes law, reducing life sentences for minor offenses. But the state still faces a looming deadline. By January 30th, the prison population must come down by another 9,000 prisoners. To help us understand the impact on public safety and the justice system, I'm joined by Michael Montgomery, reporter for KQED and the Center for Investigative Reporting, and Stanford Law School professor Robert Weisberg. And Robert, let me begin with you. You and your colleagues at the Stanford Criminal Justice Center recently did a series of studies. And in your reports, you call California a high-stakes test kitchen for criminal justice. What does that mean?
First, many parts of the United States now are having to deal with having put too many people in prison for too long. So there's a kind of overall decarceration phenomenon in the country. And California is, alas, a kind of poster child for that because its prisons were so overcrowded as to be unconstitutional. In addition, the path that California has taken through realignment, which is a matter of devolving a great deal of the control of many felons from the state to the counties, is essentially causing the counties to have to recreate criminal justice systems and readjust very complex relationships between all the moving parts. The sheriffs who control the jails, the local police, the prosecutors, and the judges. So it's kind of a natural experiment for reconfiguring criminal justice in America.
And one of the things that's interesting that the report pointed out is how quickly the counties had to do this. I mean, when realignment came into play, all of a sudden you had hundreds and thousands of felons who would have gone to prison who are now coming in the jail system. You also had people getting long sentences but going to jails instead of prisons, and that's been another issue. Jails are not built for housing inmates for 5 or 10 years, and that's definitely been another issue we've seen with realignment.
Right.
So were the counties ready, do you think? How are they got $4.4 billion in grants spread out. How has that money been spent?
The way the money is spent has varied from county to county. That was inevitable at the beginning, and I think it's just fine, at least in the short run. Certainly one of the long-term motivations behind the law, the realignment law, was that we'd see a greater emphasis on rehabilitative programs and the notion that they could be done better at the local level than at the state level. But because realignment was such a sudden shock to the counties, they had to use their money in accordance with the positions or conditions they happened to be in when all this happened. Some of them were suffering from huge underfunding crises in their courts and their police and so on, often for reasons that had nothing to do with realignment, just the financial meltdown.
How has this affected local communities in terms of crime rates and how offenses are charged? Have some counties decided not to charge certain low-level offenses so that they can have more room in their jails for the diverted state inmates?
Yes, there is a great deal of pressure on the county jails. Some county jails, by the way, were already under their own overcrowding orders, independent of what happened in the prisons. So to some extent, the police and the prosecutors are giving people a pass on extremely low-level property crimes because there isn't any room in the jails. But again, I'd emphasize that a lot of the problem was independent of realignment, namely the police departments were so severely cut in many cities for reasons that had nothing to do with realignment. So there's anecdotal information right now that there is a bit of creepage upward in the crime rate for low-level property crimes.
Well, go ahead.
Well,
please.
no, it's also hard to know because there's been a recession. Some cities and counties have laid off a lot of law enforcement. So it's impossible to say, even probably moving forward, that realignment was responsible for the crime spikes that we've seen in some communities.
Speaking of crime rates, I want to ask you about Proposition 36. That's the proposition that voters approved last November, changing the three strikes law, allowing for reduced sentences for people who commit lower level offenses for their third strike. Has that affected crime rates in local communities with these people getting out sooner? Simple
answer, no. Not yet, at least, and that is data that's coming from Stanford as well. I think stepping back, this has never been done before. That is a voters' initiative that works retroactively to let some inmates file petitions for release and get out. I've been following inmates who got out under Proposition 36 for the last year. It's obviously a bittersweet experience. These men were in for 15, 18 years for shoplifting, other crimes, but it's working in the sense that they are not going back to jail or prison. It's difficult, and one of the huge ironies about 36 is that these people served so long, there's so much extra time in the end, that they're not on parole or probation, and they do not have access to programs that normal parolees would have. So they're getting a sort of double whammy. They serve this extra time, and yet they're not getting the support now that they're out of prison.
So you talked to them. You did a comprehensive report on this. What happens to them then when they get out? Because they get, what, $200 and the clothes on their backs, and that's it. And they have no support services or programs.
I met a gentleman in Kern County who was given $200 and left at the Greyhound station at midnight. By prison staff. He called his father, and his father picked him up.
And this often happens at the worst possible time of the week, Friday evening. But just getting back to Prop 36, now the interesting thing there, as Michael emphasizes, is that the recidivism rate has been extremely low. That's no surprise. First of all, anybody who's in for a long, long time, this would be true of lifers under three strikes, even truer of old-fashioned lifers, they're older. They're much older. They're much less likely to recidivate. And the three strikers who do get out possibly have been on a somewhat downward trajectory. Their earlier offenses were serious, the last one wasn't. And the judges have done a pretty good job of screening things. So I don't think Prop 36 is going to play any significant role at all in terms of prison pressure or even jail pressure. I think the problem is more going to be the realignment issue and how we cope with the pressures.
What is interesting about both Realignment and Prop 36 is that they point to a larger issue here, which is, how do we reform this prison crisis that we're now in that's really resulted from decades of tough punishment. And we should point out that, interestingly enough, a lot of the tough on crime laws that were passed were signed into law in the 70s by then Governor Jerry Brown.
Right. Well, first, an irony about California is that though it became known as having the most dysfunctional prison system in America, the first one that was pretty much entirely put under federal court control, the prison imprisonment rate in California was never that high. It was always about average, per capita. But we did it in very bad ways. We built prisons quickly, but we didn't use them very well. We stuffed prisons too quickly, and we didn't have any kind of rehabilitative programs. So a debt is being paid, and it's being paid in a lot of ways. Prop 36 is a way of paying the debt. Realignment is the more drastic way of paying the debt.
All right, and we'll see how it all shakes out, because we've got that January 30th deadline looming, and the state prisons are still nearly 9,000 inmates over the limit. Thank you both for being here, Michael Montgomery and Robert Weisberg.
Thank you.
Well, Silicon Valley is known for game-changing innovation. Now some local startups are trying to change the game in the space industry, where the stakes and rewards are sky high. A new wave of for-profit companies is demonstrating that this final frontier is no longer the exclusive domain of big governments. In our report, produced by Shiraz Sadiq of KQED Science, we take a look at how Silicon Valley is going to space. 100 miles north of Los Angeles, in the dusty desert town of Mojave, the world's first commercial rocket ship is gearing up to launch citizen astronauts to the edge of space. No, this isn't a movie, it's real.
For 50 years, space has been the domain of professionals, right? NASA astronauts, Russian astronauts, Chinese astronauts. And so what we want to do is to make space available and open to other people.
But to experience the thrill of a few minutes of weightlessness, you'll have to pay Virgin Galactic $250,000 for a 2.5-hour ride 60 or so miles above Earth. Sure, it's a luxury, but Virgin Galactic CEO George Whitesides thinks that price will fall eventually.
But long term, I think the price can come down around the SUV price point, where you get down to that level. It's still expensive, but I think a lot of people would be willing to do this sort of once in their lives.
Since billionaire British tycoon Richard Branson founded Virgin Galactic in 2005, more than 600 people have placed deposits for the first commercial supersonic flights. They're scheduled to lift off in 2014. Today, dozens of companies are launching new commercial space ventures, ranging from space tourism to mining the moon, fueled by the risk-taking startup culture of Silicon Valley.
Hey guys, what you look? Oh,
Bob Richards is the CEO of Moon Express, a startup in Mountain View. He and his team of young engineers are planning an unmanned mission to the moon at a cost of $50 to $100 million.
So in getting to the moon, like any business, it's really about balancing risk and cost. This is a supercomputer in my pocket, 1 billion times more powerful than what NASA designed to land the first landers on the moon. We can use that technology today, and we can use technology largely from the commercial sector.
Sure, a privately funded mission to the moon sounds risky, but Richards thinks it's a gold mine of a business opportunity.
Moon Express is a lunar resources company. That means we will eventually be mining the moon. Asteroids have been bombarding both the Earth and the moon for billions of years, and every asteroid contains billions or maybe even trillions of dollars worth of valuable resources, platinum group metals or gold or silver.
But before Moon Express can mine the moon, it has to get there, which it's trying to do with a lunar lander being tested and developed inside a hangar at NASA Ames Research Center.
This is kind of like driver's ed for the spacecraft. We're teaching it over and over how to land safely. The lander is scheduled to launch in 2015 with later missions to prospect and eventually mine the moon. But can a company even legally do that? The law isn't entirely clear, according to aviation and spaceflight attorney Douglas Griffith.
The Outer Space Treaty of 1967 is addressed to nations. It says that nations cannot own the moon. It doesn't say anything about whether private companies can settle on the moon or extract the moon's resources, because people just weren't thinking about that back then.
1 minute, 35 seconds.
The for-profit space ventures of today are a far cry from the big government-led efforts that thrust a nation to exceptional new heights.
Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed.
During the space race, NASA, as a government entity, would farm out projects to many companies. It may be a single-use mission to the moon, and they would fund it. In the new model, companies look for business opportunities.
Steve Jurvetson is a venture capitalist whose firm has invested tens of millions of dollars in SpaceX, a California rocket maker and provider of launch services founded by tech entrepreneur Elon Musk. NASA is paying SpaceX more than $1 billion for resupply missions to the International Space Station. In May 2012, SpaceX became the world's first private company to launch a mission to the space station. The milestone proved the company could build and launch rockets reliably and cheaply.
And capture is confirmed of this Dragon spacecraft.
Many of these new space companies are being built by software engineers. And folks like Elon Musk, the founder of SpaceX, didn't come from an aerospace background. He was a computer scientist by training. Time and time again, Silicon Valley's proven that it is the hotbed of entrepreneurship. It invents new industries. And part of it is the culture, the willingness to take a risk.
Part of it may also be a high-tech approach to innovate industries, as Dan Birkenstock and his team at Skybox Imaging are trying to do with satellites.
A typical imaging satellite today costs between $500 million and $1 billion with a B. They're about the size of a Suburban, and they take 5 to 8 years roughly to build. We're trying to build the iPhone of satellites. We take processors off the shelf so that we can fly the latest and greatest components in space that are available in the commercial marketplace. The beauty of this approach is that for less than the cost of a single imaging satellite in today's world, we can launch an entire constellation of satellites. Yeah, you have to recognize this. What excites us is really taking that very good foundation of the mapping industry of today and helping to turn that into the monitoring industry of tomorrow, where we're not just getting that picture once a year or once every couple years, we're getting that picture every day or multiple times per day. The satellites we build at Skybox are about the size of a dorm room refrigerator. They weigh about 100 kilograms. And we've tried to pack as much high performance into the smallest box possible.
With the first Skybox satellite scheduled to launch in late 2013, the startup's founders think there's a big market for rapid, on-demand Earth monitoring.
No, I think over San Francisco, this would be awesome.
Be able to see the Bay Bridge, the Golden Gate Bridge, how's your commute to work?
All of the shipping traffic throughout the channel and into all the various ports throughout the bay.
But big, bold ideas carry risk, especially in the high-stakes, unforgiving frontier of space.
And there were times when this nation took some risks and lives were at stake, flying humans in orbit, that would lead to phrases like failure is not an option. But we all know in our heart, failure has to be an option. You can't innovate if failure is not an option. How much risk do you want to take to push the ball forward?
In the digital age, that push may be a leap that radically expands our presence in space.
For more on these space entrepreneurs, you can catch the full-length documentary Silicon Valley Goes to Space on November 20th at 7:30 p.m. here on KQED Channel 9 and at kqed.org/science. And tonight, we end on a sad note. We have lost a dear friend, Raoul Ramirez. He was Executive Director of News and Public Affairs for KQED Radio. He was 67.
KQED's Raoul Ramirez embodied the best of journalism. Editor, teacher, newsroom leader, mentor, always urging us to aim high and search hard for important, untold stories. Deeply committed to including diverse viewpoints, Raoul inspired us for 2 decades, and we'll surely miss him.
And I'm joined now by Scott Shafer, and I know that you worked closely with Raoul for 15 years with him here in the radio department, but you knew him even before then.
We did, and Raoul was really the reason I'm here. 15 years ago, he gave me a call and asked me to consider coming to KQED, and he has been such a, not just a friend and a mentor, but a real, the conscience of the newsroom. He's just had a tremendous sense of principle, and if there was ever an ethical question, Raoul was the one we went to check and see, should we do it this way, should we do it that way? You know, he was just a tremendous leader.
Raoul was one of my first news directors and really taught me the importance of, you know, getting the story, but not only talking to officials, but getting out there into the communities, digging deep, talking to the hidden voices, talking to real people, and do it thoroughly, do it accurately, and do it with compassion.
Absolutely. That was really very much what he was about. He inspired so many young people. He taught at SF State for 30 years, mentoring, teaching, instructing people about journalism. And in fact, there's a scholarship fund created in his name that will continue to live on and inspire new generations of students, I'm sure.
And he did like young people, didn't he? I mean, I was only 25 when I worked for him, and there was this great journalism fellowship that came up to study Asia, and he encouraged me to go for it. And I said, I don't know, I don't think I'm ready. He said, you're ready, do it. I applied, he coached me through the process, and I got it.
Yeah, well, you know, he was born in Cuba in 1946, and he came here as a young man. I think he saw himself in young people, you know, starting out in that career. And you know, I don't want to forget his sense of humor. Raoul was so funny, and if there was a pun to be found, he told it in meetings, and I will very much miss his sense of humor. And he was always one to just lighten the mood, you know, at the right moments.
And he had that great Cuban accent. I just loved to hear him talk.
He did. He was, and hot temper, I might say, for the right reasons. Always for the right reasons.
Exactly. Well, he was not only a colleague, but a friend and an inspiration to us both.
Absolutely.
And on that note, we leave you tonight. Thanks for watching. I'm Thuy Vu.
And I'm Scott Shafer. Good night.
Support for science programming on KQED Newsroom is provided by these generous contributors.